We are going home and revisiting childhood in Season 1, Episode 2 of Making It.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
We're making little houses here.
Yes, we're making boxes.
Making it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of the Making It After Show here at AfterBuzz. I am Tamara Berg. I'm joined in studio by Steve Bottomley.
Hi.
Kelsey Hightower.
Hello.
And John Comerford.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, gang. All right, so technically we're 1/3 through the season.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, it goes like that, right?
I like it.
It just started.
Show two.
Flies by. Show two. So this week we talked about going home. The episode was called Home Sweet Home, talking about our hometowns, talking about childhood
Yes.
memories with, forts and things like that. So let's just get right into it. So we started with the Mastercraft, which was create a hometown terrarium. The requirements were that it needed a plant, a figurine, and a structure. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So terrariums, in my background and experience, mostly are about the plants, and these were very much not much about the plants. One of the things I noticed was that, with traditional plant-based terrariums, there's a lot of steam involved. It gets there's it's about growing the plants.
It's
so
biome there.
it is. It's a biome.
You kind of need the steam, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And so a lot of the materials that they used would not
Never work.
So
Paper.
I was actually thinking these are a little more almost like dioramas.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right?
Yeah, and I thought it was, in some respects, kind of a weird challenge. And she even mentioned that their terrariums are trendy.
Right.
I went, really?
Well, I've seen a lot of
Have
them
you?
lately.
Okay.
Like going to the store, out shopping and stuff. Like I see a lot of
Have
them.
you?
I have, yes, because I have been keeping my eye out for some. So I felt like I could be shopping watching this episode. But like you were saying, they weren't very plant-based,
Right.
which is what I've been finding like out shopping and stuff like that. They're mostly like the hanging ones and stuff like that.
Yeah. I actually remember when I
Succulents.
was a kid, those giant water bottles. My mom tried to plant one of those as a terrarium. So the hole in the top is 2.5 inches in diameter, and the bottle is 1.5 feet tall. And so it involved a lot of sticks and things,
To
like putting them
arrange
down
things?
and arranging things and tilting the bottle and stuff like that. Now that's a challenge. All right, so let's get into the different hometown
Right.
terrariums. So we had what I wrote down first was Joe from Maumee, Ohio, did a model of her actual home because Maumee apparently didn't have a lot of big sites to see
exactly.
and big structures
I
that are
believe it
well
was the
known.
glass capital
Yeah, of Ohio.
of Ohio.
Yeah, or near Toledo. I don't know if Toledo was or Maumee was.
But
She did
somewhere
mention
in that
Yeah, somewhere. So
vicinity.
Glass. Yeah.
There's a lot to see through. apparently.
Well, I did like the fact that she wanted to make her child at home because her father was largely involved in building it, so there was obviously some connection there, and I thought that was great.
Very sweet.
That seemed to be a real universal hit.
Yeah.
That comment,
Yeah.
even for me, because when she said, and he had glue and the shims.
Yeah.
I absolutely flashed back to hanging out in the garage
right.
with scrap pieces of wood with friends, just like
Absolutely.
pounding and
Yeah.
building. And look, it's a 747.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't have that experience. The experience was, get away from my tools. That's what I heard.
We made up for it later.
Yeah. But it was good. I like the detail on that too. I know
Yes.
they emphasized that there was the address on there, so she was very
I loved it.
meticulous, and she was
I like the
focused on
diagonal of the planks on the deck. The diagonal planks. That was
I
Talk
thought-
about looking at details.
Yes.
I was looking at it going, okay, so that's kind of like a small, like Pirates of the Caribbean sort of thing, you know what I mean? Where it's just like she put a lot of detail in. I was really impressed with
Really
the
thought
amount of
through
work that she put into it, and also just kind of in honor of her dad and him teaching her all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I liked her.
It
I
was
like
sweet.
that.
It
I like
was
that
sweet.
detail.
Okay, so then let's move on to Jeff's New York City cityscape.
I love this thing. I thought it was wonderfully dimensional, and again that great graphic design on it with you could see the Art Deco, you could see all the Chrysler Building and the skyline of New York and all that other stuff. I thought that was great.
He's one of my favorites.
And the way he layered them to show that off, I thought that was really
dimensional.
Yeah, I drew a little picture of it.
The subway underneath was nice, and even the cutout little people.
Yes.
That they had in there.
All men.
Well, the ones that were on camera.
Okay.
The ladies were off on the other side, conspiring.
In the subway.
In the subway.
That's right.
No, he went with his strengths, using the paper and the minimal sort of thing. So, yeah, I like that one, too.
So this was at the place in the show where a lot of times on these reality shows, I find that what I'm about to say then comes out of the mouths of somebody on the show. And this is one of the times that it happened for me, because I was noticing the thing I talked about how the terrariums did not have a lot of, the ecosystem in them that's in tradition. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this where I'm mixing media, I'm going to put my plant in a vessel so that there isn't that issue of getting dirt into things. And then lo and behold, Jeff goes, yeah, I use black beans to hide my, the base for my plant, because he didn't like things getting grungy.
So he used a real plant.
Yes.
Yeah, he had some real plants in there, I think.
Was anybody else using real plants? I thought everybody else was using kind of the fake.
Couldn't tell.
Couldn't tell. They went over them.
Yes,
Go
that
ahead.
was driving me crazy. It's like, again, they go so fast over it. I don't know if they're real plants, and because they didn't cover that, they didn't say that, and you weren't on the image long enough to know, is that a real plant, or is it a fake plant, or is it, I don't know.
There's a lot of moss, too. I did notice moss. It could have just been moss. And I just wanted to know. Because they all are so interesting. I'm going, who would, because just the way that Nicole put together the bales. I go, okay, great. They showed me, that was terrific, but I wanted more of that, and they don't take time to do it.
I actually had to stop it a couple of times just to get a glimpse of the bale. I mean, it is so quick for the amount of attention and dialogue that went into that little segment.
Yeah.
And then I don't get a close-up of what
that's
you're
my point.
about?
They keep talking about how you have such great attention to detail, and they don't.
And we're not going to show you.
I know. It's almost like they're spending too much time going to each person. I don't know if it's because there's too many people that they're trying to cover and all of their background and their story and where you're from, but it's not showing enough of like the actual product like we're all talking about. And I don't know if they need to either do like a separate segment at the end, kind of like when they do Game of Thrones, they're like, here's behind the scenes, if they do like extra, or if they just need to just spend time
cover it differently.
At it.
Show me the image, have her voice talking about whatever she wants, but show me the image.
Right. Yes, as we're just looking at it,
Yeah. So,
I
because I miss it when it's such attention to detail, which...
Well, and again, we keep talking about the Great British Baking Show. One of the things they do is just what you said, John. They do like the slow pan around the, pie that they're doing.
Great money shots.
And they go up and down and over. So you really get to see it.
Hero shots and beauty shots,
Yeah, and on Great British Bake Off, they also show a template, like as they're talking about what they're going to be doing. They're sketching it. They're showing the sketches. And
this is what it's going to look like.
Yes, even though they haven't created it yet, we could get some sort of insight like that, so we know what to be looking for when they actually show us the product.
We had a little bit of that coming up in the Mastercraft, which we got to with Jeff's. He had a little template that he showed us. Yeah, so.
Right.
Anyway, let's move on.
More, please.
Okay, so let's move on to Kim. Let's talk about Kim. All right?
Yes.
West Hartford, Connecticut, doing the abandoned highways out of roof shingles. Okay. Does anybody know about the abandoned highways?
No.
Did anybody want to know about the abandoned highways?
I did want to.
Yes.
Yes.
I was sitting there going, what the heck? What's an abandoned highway? I need to know more about this. Please tell.
Yeah.
If we are going to look at this from a point of view of art and causing you to think and look at something and go, take me somewhere
where I've never been.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, I didn't for an instant look at that and go, oh my God, stop the suicide. I mean, even if I didn't know the story, it wasn't like one of them was holding on to the other guy.
Right. Just standing next to each other.
They're not up on the railing. They're leaning over.
Looking at
Yes.
the view. People
And-
can look at a view on a bridge.
It's okay. I can understand the shell not quite working, but I thought that one was across the board. Like that's a story. That's something
Right.
interesting. And
I think
We're
I
not
think-
letting you know.
Do you think he got? I'm sorry. This is Simon who thought they were going to be jumping off the bridge and you wanted to stop them. Could it be because the title is Abandoned Bridge and they're cut off? The bridge is. They don't go anywhere. They have an end. So it looks like it, kind of like pointless. How you got up there? There's no way off. So is that
But
you
it's
think
like
that-
artistic.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was, but again,
Is
they
that
didn't.
what he's looking? And he said it was dark too. He was
Yeah,
like,
he
all
did
your
say
pieces
that,
are very
which
dark.
I didn't see that either, but
I didn't catch that either.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I mean, we saw the San Francisco. We'll get to that bridge,
Yeah.
but it was foggy, and like, could
Yeah.
that be interpreted as dark too? I
sure.
mean,
And
it's just
lots of people jump off that bridge.
I know there were other bridges in this show, and only one of them got a really bad review.
know,
I'm just saying.
if you put the numbers next to each
exactly.
other,
But the other thing is they talked about the abandoned bridge as if we all knew,
Right.
or the abandoned highway or whatever. Was it abandoned highway?
Abandoned highway.
As if we all knew what it was.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, well, I've never been to West Hartford. I have no idea what that is or whatever. Is it Hartford?
Yeah.
Whatever the hell.
West
it is.
Hartford, Connecticut.
Thank you. And so, yeah, I'm going, why? And you couldn't take the 10 seconds to explain that?
Because that's all it would take.
And then, and I didn't bother to, maybe I should have done my research before I came on here, but that was their job. They
Well, yeah.
could've done-
Oh, of course, we can all Google it, and
Yeah.
we probably will now. But it would have added an extra layer
Yeah.
of like, oh, that's cool.
Well, much like
when-
Joe's, when she's talking about this is my dad helped build the house, blah, blah, blah. Well, how did that have significance in his life? That would have been good to know.
all that aside, I thought he also was really creative with his with his
Materials, yeah.
The roof shingles
Yeah.
for the road. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yes.
There you go, it's
there
tar.
you go. That's it. There you go. And did you notice on the close-up when they did it, the
people, the
railings,
the
railings, they
yeah.
were being held in by finish nails.
Right. I didn't see that.
They were like four size.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's
there it is.
cute.
So
That's great.
a lot
There's
of those things-
attention to detail right there.
That is
Yeah.
attention to
So I was really impressed with.
I thought
his.
Amanda
liked
looked
it.
really nice on the
She
bridge,
did.
too.
She looks good.
Yeah,
Didn't
she
she?
did.
Her ring
she
was,
looked
like,
tired.
amazing.
She looked tired.
She did look
She
sleepy.
did look tired.
Yeah.
That was the dark
She
part.
did not like to be up early.
Sleepy.
She's a vampire.
The ring is under her eyes. Was a dark.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
it.
Thank you.
There
Thank
you go, Steve. All right. Then we had Amber, who did the San Francisco Bay Area. Holla, Bay Area.
Oh,
Where John and I are both from.
right.
look at you
Yeah.
guys.
I wonder what town she's actually from. She may be
Yeah, I
from
don't
the same.
remember.
She
She said
mentioned
they
we
were-
went into the city a lot.
Yeah, that's
So I'm
that's what
thinking-
everybody would call it. We're going
Yeah.
into the city.
Yeah. So I don't
Does the
think she
bridge
was.
glitter just like Amber's?
Just like that. A friend of mine used to paint the bridge. He was one of the crew. They would start on one end of the bridge and they would paint all the way to the north side. And as soon as they got done, they'd start
Start again.
all over again.
Really?
Yes,
It's a
they-
year-round project.
Is
They
that
never stop
terrifying? Like,
painting.
is he harnessed
Wasn't for him.
in? And,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Wasn't for him.
Couldn't
my
do
goodness.
And that the paint is proprietary and all that.
Could
Yeah,
not do it.
it's a color that is individual for that bridge.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
nothing else that gets painted that color.
That's all he did every day.
And it's actually kind of more orange than
Yeah.
red.
Is it really? Fun fact.
So there you
Look
go.
how much we're
Right?
learning right now.
Not any metal flakes. So
What's
not
really
glitter.
amazing is the bridge is made out of paper.
Yeah.
All right, but speaking of
Incredible.
that,
Cut out little
Cameron, do you
pieces.
want to speak to that?
So I don't know. Maybe it's because Amy is a crafting novice, but I'm surprised at what people are impressed by on this show.
I mean, as an Amy Poehler, right?
Yes, I
That's
mean
what
it's
we're
Amy
talking
Poehler.
about, okay.
So
Oh,
because they walk up to her bridge and went, oh, glitter paper, and I'm like, really?
Yeah, that's kind of like crafting 101.
Right, yeah. So John and I, we did a little bit when
Yeah,
we were
we did.
watching earlier. It was like, okay, look, so how did you do that?
I took paper.
Yes?
It was red.
No.
And then I applied an adhesive.
Hold
to
on,
it.
wait a second. Back up.
No, no.
What is it?
Come, follow with me.
Okay.
I applied adhesive
Yes.
to the paper.
Do you
and
mean
I
like glue?
All right, if you're gonna keep interrupting.
So how annoyed were you when the first comment I said was, "Did you like the glitter bridge?"
It was pretty.
It was. It was
Glitter, it
amazing.
catches the eye. You know,
it
right?
was. It was amazing. It was just a little out of proportion to go crazy over
the glitter
paper.
because it was dimensional. There were lots of cuts in it. She
Yeah.
hand cut it.
There was
And
a
it
lot
looked-
more to it
And it
besides
looked
the glitter.
Great. And it looked great.
But everyone just notices all that glitter. You just
Yeah, it's
spark
like-
some glitter on it.
Exactly. But they didn't know the finished nails on the bridge and all
No,
that.
and
Thank you.
and it wasn't abandoned.
That's true.
So there's two things going for that one.
Yeah.
But I did love her
Yeah, I thought it looked
diorama / terrarium. I thought the fog was really whimsical and cute. I thought the bridge was beautiful.
And she even had some painted ladies in there. The
Oh, she did.
houses.
I didn't
Yes,
actually see
yes,
them.
yeah.
Those are, you know what they are. The houses,
gingerbread houses,
that
the
are
Victorians that are
off of
colorful.
Washington
Yes.
Park. Yeah, and I believe there was the Transamerica Pyramid in there
Yes,
as well.
yes,
yeah,
she had that in there. And of course, she
So
had the
all the
orange
landmarks.
Volvo and the cabs, and
All
although
the
cabs
little
aren't as,
taxis.
aren't as
Cute.
prevalent in San Francisco as one might think. But
it was right. Yeah,
so-
it was very cute.
But I thought it was great. I liked it.
right.
I just thought it was funny when they went crazy with glitter.
I mean,
Well,
I
I
do the
know
same
what
thing.
the go-to thing is now.
Yeah, exactly.
Just make something
more
with
glitter.
glitter, and you're gonna, be a star.
Well, speaking to that, and I'm going to probably disagree with the panel on this. We get to Nicole's Vermont.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to call them dioramas,
Yeah,
but they're
that's fine,
terrariums.
terrariums,
Was a beautiful fall scene with the hay bales, among other things.
Right.
Now, I thought the fact that she had the hay bales in there was a very clever detail. But again, like, it's not like it was a massively difficult crafting technique. The translation of taking this material, which was scaled down perfectly to make hay out of, I thought that was a brilliant use of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Very
thought
smart.
the fact that she put them in was absolutely outstanding. It was an incredible detail. But again, that they're like, oh my God, you took this and you twisted it? That's incredible. Where, last week we had all these intricate cuts of wood and, stuff that seems to me to be a lot more technically difficult.
Right.
And they're
I thought that I agree. I thought the use of it to think, oh wait a minute,
Yes.
this would look great as a hay bale. First of all, I wouldn't even think to put a hay bale in a Vermont setting. It wouldn't.
That's
even
Well,
it
it's
wouldn't-
because you're not from there.
True, but the fact that I think the brilliant part was for her to translate. Go, oh,
Yes.
that is a great use. I can turn that into a thing. How she did it wasn't very amazing, but the fact that she did do it was.
And the fact that they just decided to highlight that technique, I thought
Right.
was sort of a strange choice. I guess that's part of the point I'm trying to make.
I understand.
Right?
Do you think because those were do you think they were clean pieces? Like maybe they had just been a little bit more tidied and like complete rather than the other ones? Or I'm not sure your perspective on it. From my perspective, I don't have quite the, technological knowledge as to crafting, but maybe that could be why, is if they're like complete pieces or they're more, clean, or do you think that's just an easy talking point for them?
Maybe all of those things.
Okay.
I mean, they were, like we said, we thought it was a great little
Yeah, it's a
element.
great-
Yeah.
It's a great way
And
to-
the fact that they could show all of her steps within the course of about 10 or 15 seconds
Yeah, with the-
may
That
have
might
been the
be-
reason why they
yes.
chose
I think that was an easy way to show a process thing without having to spend a lot of time. It also shows how clever she was to not only pick that material, but to manipulate it very
Yeah.
quickly to get what she wanted. I thought that right there, now that's great crafting, because here's something you would normally use for something else, and now it's this.
Right.
I think that's why they used it.
Agreed.
But can we talk about the difference between the two now?
Yes,
Between that?
sure,
'Cause
yes.
was it Simon? Simon made this point about her terrarium, the fact that he said there's nothing new here that I didn't know about Vermont.
Yes.
And I was
Right.
like, what kind? You just had a Golden Gate Bridge. What have I learned different about San Francisco?
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's very true.
That was what I
it
was
had
screaming.
no sense to me whatsoever.
It was really an inconsistent sort of, and oh, by the way, you just kind of, insulted one that actually has a story.
Right.
I know, too dark a story for you.
Yeah.
But I'm like, where's
Yeah.
the level here?
I don't know.
You
They seem to be all over the map in terms of judging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
But that was such an obvious thing. Wait, I haven't learned anything new about Vermont, and yet
which is I'm
I've
sorry.
learned nothing new about San Francisco either.
However, that's not true at all, to a degree, because I didn't know that the ingredient in Ben & Jerry's ice cream is the air.
Well, that's true,
Right.
but that wasn't in the terrarium.
Well, sure.
There
Well,
might have
maybe
been,
she
maybe
had
she
even
had
wondered.
brought some air.
Maybe she had it shipped in.
She put Vermont air in her terrarium.
But
Didn't work.
If I'm going to look at everything, I'm going to
Yeah.
say, well, through that one, I actually did learn something.
Well, I did, because I would never have thought to put hay bales in Vermont. It just never dawned on me. I always think hay, in a more of a agricultural climate and stuff like that, which I just don't associate with Vermont. And I just thought hers was a great depiction. I thought the fall foliage
leaves,
was beautiful. Everything, and it did. It spoke to me. That's Vermont.
I honestly
Just as San Francisco spoke to me. That's San Francisco.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know what more they wanted. I mean, it's such a judgment call on basically saying, yeah, your childhood isn't interesting enough.
Right.
There's no glitter. Can you glitter up those cows a little bit? And
She
do
did paint
something.
them.
Is there fog? I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at the two of them going,
Yeah.
you can't.
It seems like a very strange criteria shift.
They need to be
Yeah.
judging more
Yeah.
on the actual product in front of them rather than the stories, I feel like, or what they're telling. Because I don't feel like
Or
they're
give
talking...
them equal measure because they were just out of balance.
But I don't think that the judges should be like, oh, your childhood is better or your story is better. Like, that's what we're all saying, I think, here. But I feel like they should look at it and be like, this is the usage. You used it better this way. Or, like, you didn't use any of the materials. I feel like it should be talked more about the product.
And yeah, absolutely. So long as me as a viewer knows where the line is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this was their choice to use this format.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was a reason that format worked on the Bake Off. So
Okay, let's move on to Billy, who did Boston,
Oh,
Fenway Park,
Billy.
and the story about his brother who got
I have to say,
a beer poured on
I
him.
actually really appreciate his stories. I mean, like, even last week when he was talking about his other story, about the Boz and how it meant
Yeah.
something to him.
Yeah.
And I go, this guy really is in touch with those stories. I mean, this kid's story with his brother
Yep.
and getting a
Sissy
beer
Mary.
poured on
No,
him.
just kidding.
Yep.
I thought, well, that's great, and it clearly has an impact, or I don't know if it has an impact, but he certainly remembered it. So
He chose a moment that had a story.
yeah,
And executed it poorly,
Right.
but at least stretched out.
yeah.
I don't know how you go from felt to paper and
Yeah.
miss that much. I mean, is there really that much difference between using the two mediums?
Well, I don't know. I think he was going for something that was. I mean, to me, it looked like he wanted to go for something. It was a child's view of the green monster.
Right.
That's how I took it because they were kids.
Okay.
So that's how a green monster would look to a kid. And I thought he used construction paper on purpose because a child would use construction paper,
yeah,
and he was
okay.
remembering it as a child.
Yeah.
So that to me made sense.
Yeah.
Now, certainly, granted, it wasn't finished as well as the others, but even his clay figures looked like a kid put them together. So that's how I took the whole thing is this is a childhood memory, and this is how a kid would make this childhood memory.
Well, that
love
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I love that description because I don't think I thought quite like that, but when you say it, it makes complete sense to me, and I love it more. Like, I feel like...
And I wish if he had thought, that's what he had done, I wish he had said that.
Communicated
Right.
that.
Because I think the judges just looked at it and they took it as, oh, an adult made this? And I was going, no, and
Yeah.
I don't think that's what he was going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because clearly he has chops. I mean, just the way he did last week, you can see he has precision. He has. So I just thought he went that way on purpose.
Yeah.
But then didn't get a chance to
No,
connect
I
it.
don't think he communicated that
Yeah.
in any way, and either didn't say it or maybe he thought he shouldn't. Or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But so this is an interesting moment where if that's correct, and they were able to get that as an aside.
Right.
So that going into judging, we have this. We're
Right.
front loaded and we're like, oh, no, we get it. And then the judges are like, we don't get it. Well, there's a whole nother level where you can get involved in the show and go, oh, no, you're missing the point. Oh,
Right,
what are you
yeah.
doing? No, you're just
And
getting... And now you have a cheering option. Now you can
Right.
start cheering for the contestant. Like, oh, you got a raw deal over there.
Yeah, and even if you'd learned that after they made their judgment, it would have been
Even
good,
then.
good to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because then it would be on him to learn how to communicate that in a way so that it enhances his piece rather than leaves them out of that information.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that makes sense to me. I'll
Yes.
go with your theory.
I like it too.
The other thing that I thought was interesting was, okay, so one of the materials that most of the contestants used was clay, the polymer clay.
Called
Sculpey is one of the
Sculpey.
brand names.
I like that.
Tammy throwing her lingo around. Way to go,
It was
Tamara.
very funny to me that Nick was talking about eating Play-Doh as a
Yeah.
kid, and Sculpey is not Play-Doh.
No.
It is not. It's plastic. It's a plastic clay.
polymer.
It's a
Yeah.
polymer clay.
So-
Whereas Play-Doh is like salt and flour and and other chemicals.
Delicious.
depending on what color. 'cause
So I
there's
thought it was
different
so
flavors.
funny. He goes to pick up the
Brown,
little
man,
piece
chocolate.
of clay and starts chewing on it, and I think probably he thought it was Play-Doh when he
Yeah.
first bit it. Or maybe not. Maybe he didn't, but
he did it eventually.
made
take
me
it out,
laugh.
so, yeah. Who else had eight Play-Dohs?
Oh,
Jack?
yeah, so he-
Did you even
so
have
he-
Play-Doh?
I had Play-Doh. I got it stuck everywhere. Like there was this wicker laundry basket, and I definitely like smashed that yellow Play-Doh right inside of there.
Do you remember going to like a friend's
Nice.
house and the Play-Doh was still in its original colors?
Yes.
And I go,
Yes.
do you even
What is
use
that?
It's like, how do you? No, it's supposed to be like
What do you mean Play-Doh comes in white?
monolithic, weird.
I had a friend who was meticulous.
organized.
I guess back then we didn't use the term OCD, but he had every little color. Nothing could touch another. No color could touch another
Really?
color. Yeah,
Wow.
and it was always separated back in, and it was in its perfect little. Yeah, it was
Guilty.
weird.
That
Was
would have been me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
thought one of the-
I know everyone's
that's
cringing.
that's a tough play date.
Yeah, that is. Don't touch it.
Sorry.
All right, we got-
Okay, and Robert, the last one, who did Grand Rapids, Michigan, the fireworks under the dome. So
Excellent.
I
Yeah.
thought the idea of using look at your face.
Oh, no,
Steve.
go ahead, go ahead.
Using the etching cream,
Yeah.
which I've used. You've
Yeah,
used that.
we've used
I
it
think
all
you
the
have
time.
too,
I have
right?
too.
Yeah.
On the dome, I loved that idea
thought
because
that
it
was
really
great.
Yep.
defined the sky
Yeah.
and was
And it's,
very
again,
magical.
and he likes that subtle thing going on there,
Yeah.
and I thought that worked.
Okay, wait. Can I butt
absolutely.
in
Go
real
ahead.
quick?
Jump in.
So, can you describe etching cream to me really quickly?
It's a little tub of this substance that is it's an acid basically in a cream.
caustic,
Yes.
yeah.
And so it does a really light, just kind of takes the shine
Yeah.
off of
So instead
whatever
of
you
being
put it
clear,
on.
it turns it opaque.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you would just put it on top of something and then like sketch out around what you don't want, or would you
Well,
like
you'd take
have a
something
template
on,
and then
you'd
like
cut
put
out
that?
the part that you want etched, and then you'd etch,
Oh,
and then you
okay.
take
And you
all
leave it
off.
on for 5 or 10 minutes,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then wash it off, and then you get that little etch effect.
Okay, I'm up to speed.
I'm glad you asked.
Thank you.
So
Steve.
etching cream. So when he started with that and he is pulling away the templates and everything, I'm going, oh, that's nice. You know, it's on the inside. It's like this, and then he went with like the giant wood sticky guy with again a bridge. I'm like, oh, what happened?
Giant
Okay.
sticky guy.
And it was a really
I think this is a
large
situation
guy.
where maybe we needed some explanation that they didn't provide.
Yeah, I wanted to know again what was the story behind
Yeah.
that. Why did he pick that? I mean, I know they said why he picked Grand Rapids and all that other
Yeah.
stuff, but
Why-
why that bridge? Why that style? I mean, I just
Why was
I
the
didn't
guy so
get the
big?
context.
Yeah, why was it so big? The figure looked like one of those art models, you know,
Yeah.
that you buy in the art, you know, so you could do your figure drawing. That's what it looked like to me, and I thought it was
looked
that.
like Paul Bunyan cutting something down. That's what it looked like to me.
So I think there
tall
was
Paul
probably
Bunyan.
more to it that we didn't get to hear,
Yeah,
and that bums me out.
but his proportions did look a little off. I from again, I didn't get a full good look at it because I went by so fast. But because he was such a tall figure in that terrarium, it looked he had his proportions wrong, and I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but that's what it looked like to me.
It looked unfinished.
Oh.
It kind of looked like there was supposed to be more, or you kind of didn't know what to do. You had this extra doll and just went, oh, put it here.
Right?
But, you know, and I was basing it against the one he did last week with the head inside your head and everything.
Yeah.
That
Shadow
was also
theater.
very simple, but there was a lot there.
Yeah.
And, so it started out great. I was excited. Oh, etching cream, here we go.
Yeah,
That's nerve-wracking.
yeah, but yeah, and you can't it doesn't come off. Like once you've etched,
Yeah,
you're
it's
committed to it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
a one-shot deal.
Yeah. So.
So
And you have to do it similar if you're doing multi-plane windows on a really expensive front door.
For example.
Because the
pro
owner
tip.
decided that she doesn't want people looking through. Can we opaque this?
For example.
Oh, that's
For
what you would
example.
use it for.
Yeah, that's what I use it for.
For example.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amber, did you go? Okay, so I think we covered all the judging. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just about the judging. Here's why I'm just really confused because I don't understand if they're doing it for like the eye candy. Oh, I'm sorry, that's me.
Jeez.
If you don't do it for eye candy or for content, that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And the second half was a little clearer, but the first half I was just like, I don't So anyway, sorry. But
And I think it would help our enjoyment as viewers if we knew what that criteria was.
Rules of the game.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
because then we would go, oh, they really hit it on that
Right.
that particular criteria.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would hit that great.
Agreed.
Good point.
Before we go any further, let me remind everybody listening, AfterBuzz puts out a lot of TV shows and after-show content every week. I don't know how many, what are we up to, 60 shows? I think? Some
A lot.
1
unheard of
billion.
amount. We got all kinds of information, all kind of content from dramas, reality TV, sci-fi, everything you can think of. There's something for everybody. So go to our network, check out some of the other shows and after shows that we do. And please, when you go there, remember to rate and comment and give us all your input and your feedback. That helps us. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. Thank you very much, Kelsey. And if you leave a comment, or we can shout out and we can thank you very much on air. So we appreciate that. So make sure you do that for us. We need that information. We need that help from you to help us get out more shows. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to the Mastercraft, which was create a fort and a toy collection, or a collection with a fort and a toy.
A child role. What is it? What do they call it?
Childhood
play.
fort.
Child's play.
Collection.
Yes, child's play.
Large
collection.
enough, and the fort had to be large enough for a child to enter and exit.
I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was a really
That was
good
fun.
project. You know, you have those two things, they have to interplay in some fashion. I thought that was great. I thought it was a good choice.
No one thought of a couch, which is the best fort ever.
That's true. Here's a couch and blankets.
That's what I would've
would
done.
have absolutely gone with a couch,
Pillow fort.
couple of blankets, and then just put in an Etch-a-Sketch in there and go, I guarantee you, that kid is busy for
and maybe
4
some
hours.
pots and pans.
Yeah. Pots and pans.
Maybe an iPod these days.
You see, that's where that's actually it's a point I had, but
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so let's just get into it. Let's start with Kim.
Kim,
All right.
okay.
So he did the spaceship.
right.
It was a big wooden structure,
Yeah,
and he had grand plans.
Yeah, I thought it was very ambitious.
Yeah.
Very ambitious.
Right. So the wood guys. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the whole ambition.
Well, again,
of
they
that
don't
project.
tell us how much time. I don't know. We don't even know if it's a day. We assume it's less than a day because everybody's wearing the same clothes. Although their shows
Magic of TV.
exactly.
We know how
So
that
who knows?
works.
But I just kind of go, whoa, that's a lot. And there's a toy, and he's got working parts, and then it's like, this is just a lot to do. And I don't know how much help he has or anything like that. And I really don't get. And part of me doesn't want to know. But do they have any advance notice? Do they have any plans drawn up, or do they coming up with that right then? I don't know.
okay. So if you and I were together and say, hey, John, I want to build a spaceship. Here's the plan.
Yeah.
Just the Home Depot run, how long do you think that would take?
Half a day.
Easily.
It takes half a day.
So there has to be some front loading going on
Yes.
there, where they go, okay, here's what I'm going to need. It did get interesting later with Jeff and his assistants and all that sort of stuff. But there's got to be everything there ready for them, and then they just kind of go, here are the tools.
Or do they have a full
I would guess that
lumber yard available to them? I don't know.
maybe. I would guess that it takes a week or so to do an episode, and at the beginning of the week, they have like the not the script, but the information on like, here's the 2 projects you're gonna have to do, or here's the Mastercraft that you have to do. Like, we have to know the materials by X day, and then they have someone go run out and get it, bring it back, and then that's how they would do it. Because you wouldn't have all of the information up front, because the people who are eliminated, they don't even know. But I would assume that it's like, it typically takes about a week to shoot a TV show or so.
Yeah.
But give or take. That's what I would say, working in
Well,
production and stuff.
right. But again,
then-
if it's obviously this is not the same thing. But if you're on Chopped, you get that day.
Right.
Yeah, and you get
Yeah.
and they are serious about that time limit.
Well, so just side note, two side notes. One, if there are any contestants or production folks that want to get in touch with us
let us
and let us
know.
know some of this inside stuff,
Stop
find
on
one of
by.
us on Twitter, because we would love to have that input.
Do you think they withhold that just because they don't want to? They don't want you to know how the sausage is made? Because I think it would be great. I think it would add to the enjoyment of the show, just because.
Right, because
I'm
it raises
fascinated
the
by it.
stakes.
I think
It
it
really
does.
impresses you to know how much time it took
Or
and that sort of thing.
yeah, because a week is not then, because really that's what they have a week to do that. That's not as impressive as you have 8 hours and
Right.
this is what you got to come up with. Because to me, the big thing about these all the ones that were made, it was all about time management, because you only have a certain limited amount of time. And
Totally.
you might have great plans, but what can you execute in the time? Because that's really the skill here. Isn't how amazing you are, is what you can get done in the time given.
Right.
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 But with that,
Yeah.
how much can you do before the clock starts? How
Right.
much is allowed?
True,
So,
yeah, we don't know
okay,
that.
so I want to make a spaceship, but guys, I'm going to need to cut these panels. So can we cut some of these panels and have them ready, and then I'll start assembling when the clock starts? Or
Right.
am I like at the saw? You know
Yeah,
what I
I don't
mean?
know.
Who makes that decision?
Right. And there's clearly a tool shop,
Yes.
you
They
know,
have
with things
tools
happening
available
there.
too.
And I was reading earlier today, this is on the website for the show, they've got lots of clips about things, and there was a clip about the production designer who created the barn.
Right.
And his whole process about
Nice job,
choosing
by
the
the way.
design and stuff like that. And the thing is that was on someone's property. They trucked it all in, and then when they were done, they had to be able to pull it all down and flat pack it.
Yeah.
Because maybe there's going to be a season 2.
Exactly.
So,
It's gotta be
so the
portable.
thing is, it was outside of Malibu, was as much as they said about it. So it was up in that like horse country kind of area up north a little ways.
I'm thinking it looks like Hidden Hills.
Or yeah, I was almost thinking Ojai from the top thing, but I think Hidden Hills is probably a
Because
better.
the mountain range in the back.
Exactly.
yeah.
So with that known, they're trucking stuff in. They're not going to truck in a Home Depot. They have to, you know, cull down the supplies to some degree. That's why my logic says that there is some notice ahead of time where you place an order of what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, again, I'd be very curious to know who makes a decision of like, well, you don't
What's
get to pre-sew your canvas, but go
Yeah,
ahead and
exactly.
pre-cut your plywood.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so
All right, let's get into the things.
yeah. Okay, we can talk about that more later. So Jeff made his corrugated plastic cloud.
Multi-level. Yeah, it
Star
started out
Class.
being something else.
Princess Palace.
Yeah,
The
it
Princess
started
Palace,
out being
yes.
something else, and I thought that little mock-up he made. I was like, I thought that was fascinating.
I
Exciting.
liked the
Didn't you?
mock-up, yes.
And I like that they showed it. I like that he showed the it kind of backfired him, but I like that he
Yeah.
showed the judges that, because now the judges have it in mind. Oh, look what we're gonna get.
I know.
So I'm watching this, and I think you'll agree. Why are you spray painting it? It's a flat surface. You can roll that.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Roll it, Jeff.
Yes.
I don't know why you're. Oh,
Consistency.
maybe to breathe it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I don't
there's
know.
Every reason you don't want to.
No, yeah, and take forever. It's not
Take
as even.
forever.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
It's really good for the environment.
yeah, and I'm going, why is he doing
Why?
that? They don't
We
have
all
paint.
were
They don't
doing
have
that.
rollers.
Yeah.
It's a good pro tip. I mean, I wasn't sitting there thinking about that. I was like,
Or-
oh, spray
Why-
paint.
Pretty
or if you wanted
Pretty
colors,
colors.
that's where I would have gone. If you don't have rollers, why don't you just glue on colored paper?
Yeah. Well,
But that's good to know.
Anything is quicker than spray painting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it may have been that he was used to working on that corrugated plastic in smaller doses where you have to spray, or
or maybe they just didn't have the paint rollers and the colors that he wanted that he could roll. I
or
don't
maybe
know.
it was supposed to be wood, and that would
Yeah.
work much better with spray paint.
I
And
don't
he probably there was probably some sort of snafu in there. I bet that happened.
But as soon as he
that-
started spray paint, I was going, oh boy,
Yeah.
he's gonna be in
Yeah.
trouble.
I liked his dragon repellent.
Oh yeah.
I like how Nick figured
Oh
that
yeah,
out.
yeah, Nick, yeah, nice job, Nick.
Again, kind of dark though. Putting
Yeah.
it in your mouth. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
yeah.
Right. So the other thing about the Princess Palace is that it looked like it was going to topple over at any second to me. I don't know if because his mock-up there were like the way the layers would sort of fit into each other,
Yeah.
but the final product as it was sitting there didn't look like it was locked in place, and I was
Looked like it was
concerned
just
about
layer
that.
upon layer upon layer without
That-
any interconnection where it
Right.
could
Right.
just been toppled over.
And maybe I missed it.
And that
but
might be okay. It's just that if your kids are playing, the likelihood is they're going to
going
bump
to
that.
topple it.
Yeah.
That's just going to fall.
Well, apparently not every kid. There's, you know,
Right.
There is a child that
I
do not touch the sides of
Oh,
this.
this is beautiful. Let's sit and look and admire.
Kelsey in the high tower would not.
Exactly.
Don't touch the sides.
Don't touch it.
Don't.
I had fun as a kid, okay, guys? I was a fun
right, if
kid.
you say so.
I'm fun now, too.
Okay.
I thought it was a great idea. I also liked his story about not having the ceiling,
Ceiling.
and why he wasn't
Yeah.
having ceiling. And again, and for me, so far, he is the one with the best stories. I
Yes.
like he's been the emotional one.
He's
been
the one with the only story.
Well,
I know.
that's
I think I
true.
cried every time he talked.
Because Billy's had good stories too. I like
Okay,
Billy's
fair enough,
stories.
fair
I
enough.
just think emotionally he's the one that I've been able to rally around because of the stories that he shared.
And I feel more invested in
Yeah.
him than I do all the other characters.
Not anymore because he's
Exactly,
gone
exactly.
out of there.
Spoiler alert.
But realize that probably they revealed his stories up front because he has been eliminated
Yeah,
early.
and
So
that
we're
you get
going
the
to learn
most-
the other stories.
Yeah.
So that's how you tell.
That is how you tell.
You know somebody.
And
Sorry.
Change the bet.
they were also well relayed, narrated, so you could get them quicker. You didn't have to spend any time with them. He did a good job of telling them, and they did a great job of editing them. Anyway, so
Yeah. Let's move on to Billy's taco truck.
I love
Tacos.
I was hungry.
Yeah, I
He was
love.
like, "There's 20 tacos." I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go find one."
Yeah.
Because that was a great idea.
It was a great idea.
totally haven't
I
talked
didn't
about
know
after
that.
this.
Go ahead.
I like the toy or the felt taco that
I
you
thought-
could.
Brilliant.
I know that was so much fun. So his toy was one of my favorites because you could create like a taco, and I could see kids actually using
Yeah.
and playing that, and
And
like
They
you know
get to
mixing
pick
it
whatever
up.
they could put in a taco, because
Yes.
what kid doesn't want to put? Yeah.
I know, and I had like a little kitchenette, you know, growing up too, and that's like a modern version of that, a more
Sure.
creative way to do that. So I really appreciated that one.
The work that he put into each one of those, like the little animals
Right.
and the stitching that he hand stitching he
Even
did.
the menu. I thought
Right,
was great.
right. But I felt like the toy, he put so much effort
Yeah.
and thought into the toy, where the toy is kind of an afterthought for some of the
I
contestants.
agree completely. I thought, the toy, first of all, it's kind of a fun little toy. I'm making my own taco.
Yeah.
It folds up and I can put whatever I want in it. But, clearly, obviously it worked with the taco truck. How could it not? But
Right.
everybody else, I thought, it was an afterthought.
Plus, if you lose any part of that toy, it's
Yeah,
just like
who
more
cares?
felt.
Exactly. Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking about that is I hadn't heard that if you put a counter out, kids love it. That was something new to me.
Oh no, that's absolutely true.
Is it true? Okay.
Absolutely true. I remember as a, when I was little as a kid, you took the ironing board at the
Yeah.
lowest setting. I became a bartender. I mean, that's where it started.
Youngest
That's
bartender,
true.
everyone.
Well, and I made.
You made a lot of good tips, huh?
No, it's true. It's just
What's
that
troubling you, pal?
Yeah, that's where I started. My
Have the, like,
insightful
Your
therapy.
dad would come over, son. I need to talk to you about your mother.
It's getting a little too real, Dad.
Yeah.
Getting a little too real.
It's getting dark over here.
Tell your story walking.
What did you think about the criticism about the front window not being utilized?
I thought it was picky. I thought, really?
Yeah.
After you have all this other stuff, and sure, maybe it would have been, but in fact, I don't think that I wouldn't have given the knock for that. I wouldn't have given it at all. If I was going to give it any knock, I wanted the writing to it wasn't whimsical enough and it wasn't crisp enough. It was like in between the two, and I would have wanted one or the other. And for me, it felt like it needed to either have more flair to it or to be more specific. It just seemed like it was a little too
In between.
Yeah, and that was the only thing I would try to add to it.
I think it was just a story beat, to be honest. I think it was like, he's not going to win. They found something wrong.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And if they want to get nitpicky, there was no health rating at all in the truck.
No, he did
There really
not
should
have a
been.
health rating. That's
I mean,
very
how
true.
do I know? How do I know it's
What
not
were
a
the
BOC?
ingredients?
Yeah, I mean,
What
Exactly.
are we eating in this felt taco?
what's the-
I need to know.
What's
Is it
the
homegrown,
What's
organic?
the calorie count?
yeah.
Nothing.
Another
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I
So-
mean, come on.
All right.
Man, there's
I liked
so
it.
many things wrong with that.
Exactly.
So we're going to have to move on to Amber.
And does he have a license to do that?
Oh, where's your permit, buddy?
Exactly.
Show the permit.
All right.
Amber's circus tent, the Quirkus.
The Quirkus, which I thought was great
Yes,
for Billy to come up with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and she used it, but she at least said, "I'm going to use that."
Is that the first kind of teamwork we've seen from this show?
Well, last week Jeff was talking. Somebody was talking about the teamwork, and then Jeff also mentioned it this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's no, because Robert was helping. Was he helping Kim? Somebody
Yeah.
somebody was helping them dry something.
Yes.
last
Okay,
week.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yes.
So we saw that.
There's been little
Yeah.
like quick little things, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
So that
to
was
the
good.
degree.
Pooping?
Yes.
Yes. I
The
tweeted out
funniest
earlier
bit.
today. I laughed out loud. I was laughing out loud. It was my favorite moment of the show.
I just had to watch like 3 or 4 times just
what
to
are we
look
talking
on his
about?
face.
Nick standing over at the side,
that, yes.
crouched down with a poopy face.
Yeah.
And Amy going,
Are you?
"Are you pooping? Are you
Take a
pooping?"
moment and
Oh,
His face was
Kelsey.
so funny. Kelsey, don't poop.
she
Please
did
don't
have fun. See,
Don't
she's still a fun
poop.
girl.
Fun girl.
This is me being fun.
That was God. That was funny.
So the design of the tent I thought was great because she had.
It's very-
gosh, look at that!
Yeah, I know, we got
Time's
it.
running
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
Right. So lots of skills. She used sewing. She used paper. She used felt.
And she had some structure and all
Exactly.
that kind of stuff, so it was nice.
Thought it was great.
I thought the wagon was a great idea, but it was, again,
Side.
it didn't seem like much.
But they didn't show the other elements of her toy, which were the felt beard and the hat.
Oh, yeah, they
and that
did.
kind of
They
stuff.
did.
Those went in the.
Oh, so I didn't
but they
even
didn't
know
show that
was.
in the
That's
judging.
true. I just saw it on Amy's face. And
I mean,
Yeah.
when they had the toy thing, I'm like, so stuffed animals are going to go in there, right?
Right.
Because, like, a
I thought
giraffe
animal
and an
crackers were going to go in there.
So there was
Oh,
more
those are
to
my
it that we
favorite.
didn't really see. So, but I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really nicely done. Okay, Joe's Rainbow Fort and Stamp Set.
Okay.
Made with pool noodles, wrapped with fabric.
Now, I have something to say about that.
Okay. Yes, John?
I look at that and I'm going, okay, again, how do you judge this? Because all she did was wrap some pool noodles and put them on a peg, as opposed to somebody who's trying to build a spacecraft. Now,
Yes.
So again, I thought it's well executed. I don't think it was a huge deal to put together. And again, it might have been a smart use of time because it just didn't look like it took much. And it was nice. It was great. But I was going, look what people were being very ambitious, and not everybody. And this I thought was not, it just didn't seem very exciting or ambitious. It was just a pool noodle that she wrapped in fabric, and I went, okay. And it looked nice. I'm not faulting any of that. It's just that when I'm comparing what people are trying to do and what she did, I went,
It's almost kind of going back to the first round where they took something, it's simple, like they did a simple idea and then they like executed it and were able to talk about it more. Like with hers, I felt like I could go home and create it. Whereas
So that's one of the things I thought was great about it.
I did
Yeah.
too.
But go ahead.
But whereas some of the other ones had so much detail and they were beautiful to look at, and it was more like professionally done. Where you're right, how do you compare
Yeah, just
that?
how do you? And I'm not faulting her. I thought it looked great,
Yeah.
and I agree
Yeah.
with both of you. They go, oh man, anybody could do that.
Exactly.
So I thought that part was fabulous. It's just like, how are we comparing that?
Like,
with,
how do you judge it?
Yeah, compared with what other people are doing, and how does that?
That's one of my overall issues with the show, which we can talk about more as the season goes on. But yeah, it's trying to compare these things is difficult. Created a rubber stamp at the end. Again, oh my God! A rubber stamp! Yes, Steve?
Can I just say,
Yes.
having had young kids,
Yes.
if you hate parents, bring a stamp set, and that's only if you can't afford a drum set. Because giving kids, who, by the way, she said, love to jump around and get crazy.
Stamping your walls, stamping your furniture,
Something you can move
stamping.
paint around with.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
So I just saw that and went, oh, there's not a parent in the world that would go, thank you for giving my child this gift.
Yeah.
Oh, and a horn. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
I just, again, was a little annoyed that the judges were so impressed with a rubber stamp. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, and again, I don't.
We don't know.
Is it
Yeah,
because
there's a
they
lot we
don't
don't know.
realize what's involved? Because making the stamp is like very simple to do.
It was cute.
No,
But, yeah.
and again, it worked. It's just that. And I guess they were impressed with the finish of it, but I don't think one could really be impressed with the execution of it, because it's like, okay, that took 10 minutes.
Right. Okay, Nicole's butterfly fort teepee and wood assembly butterfly toy.
And again, now compare those two, because that
Yes.
was much more intricate, and just making the little toy alone, I mean, that takes some technique there. I mean, and who knows, maybe she's done it a million times. I don't
Right,
know.
because she is a woodworker. That's her jam.
But even still, the fact that, because it takes balance, it takes precision to get those things to work, because they're interlocking and they can be disassembled and all that other stuff.
Yeah, it's like a wood puzzle.
Yeah.
I thought it was the best example of art and function
Yeah.
between all of them. And I was just like, so the knock is the kid's too big for this? It's just like,
It's a kid.
Right. Well, here's the other thing. Put it on 1 foot legs.
Yeah.
Lift it off the ground, and then all of a sudden it's so much bigger, and you can fit a million things
But
underneath
even
it.
still, a young kid would love to crawl in there and
was
sit,
so-
lie on
if
your
you
back.
think about it, you were in a cocoon before you're a butterfly. So how about that metaphor?
Yes,
Although,
Steve.
I love that they put the camera inside, because I didn't
Yes.
get it until I was
Yeah.
inside, and I'm like, oh. And can I explain the?
It had gold leaf on it.
Yeah,
Right. So the exterior was mostly unfinished or lightly finished wood, and then were spots of gold leaf on it.
I just went, what the? Because it looked like a mistake or unfinished to me on camera. I went, what happened? Why is it? Why are they? Because they took enough time to show that, but they didn't explain it. I'm going, why are they showing where she got it wrong? And it wasn't.
And because I knew what it was, but it didn't translate on TV.
No.
But it was gorgeous.
And
once
nowhere
you did
they
know
say,
what it was.
and you have some gold leaf thing.
Yeah.
Nowhere. And I'm going, that would have been nice to know.
Yeah.
And is gold leaf like a spray, just real quickly? Is
who knows in her situation, but it's gold that is hammered down to a thinner than a piece of paper.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's applied, and it just kind of...
It was beautiful.
It was
You can tell.
Once I knew what it was, it just looked like a mistake until I knew what it was.
Nick geeking out about the wood assembly toy and giggling about it
So
was adorable.
His laugh
And them
is-
going, you guys!
Yes.
So cute, so funny. Okay, Robert, the geodesic dome or geodesic dome and the tangrams.
Yeah.
All about geometry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The best moment is when the host and all of them are looking at him going, science is hard.
Exactly.
I had this
Yeah.
glazed look about,
Yeah, when he's explaining
can we go back to the butterfly?
I love tangrams.
Yeah, and if you don't know tangrams, how do you explain it? Because, if you do know it, it's obvious.
It's
So how
cool.
do you explain it?
Yeah.
But this is the moment that goes right to the iPad thing of words. So how do you get kids to do something interesting when this is your competition?
You're going from a digital internet games to
something
tangram.
like this. I thought this was the best example of do that. Take them from that and give them something to do. Oh, here's the challenge.
Yeah.
Here's the puzzle.
Make that.
And
With these shapes.
I thought that he did the best in getting those two worlds.
I thought the way he was designed was great. I think his color scheme. I kind of agree with Simon saying it's from East Germany or something like that.
Eastern
I would
bloc.
because it's for kids. You think maybe a little bit more vibrant than grayscale, with a little hint of red. But I liked how he had the tangram shapes in the dome.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was clever, and I thought those things. And I liked that the tangrams was a huge.
Was huge.
Yeah, that looked like kids playing blocks.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I think I might have painted them different colors just so that they were in.
Brighter and more kid
and not just one color, but I think he was going with this
And again,
theme.
though, the comparison of toys of Nicole's butterfly and the tangrams, same medium, same concept in a way, and one was incredibly simple and probably took him 45 minutes to make, and hers probably took her several hours. So it's so difficult to compare those things, and that's one of my biggest issues with this. Okay, Billy was the winner with the taco truck.
Yeah. Did anybody agree with that, or did anybody else?
Well, I thought he didn't do enough with the front window. Aside from that,
Jeff was the loser, or was eliminated.
we don't have a lot of time.
No, we don't.
Did anybody else think somebody else should win? I'm just curious.
No, I
Is
like the
everybody on
taco
Joe?
truck. The counter.
Amber would have been my second choice.
The
Okay.
circus,
The
yes.
circus.
I was thinking that as well.
Circus, yeah.
So, but here's my question.
Yes.
If Jeff had said it's just going to be white so that you have if there was never this other option.
Yeah.
And he only went with that, and he put a little bit more effort into like the toy or something, I think that would have been a different outcome.
I think so too.
Don't think he would have been kicked off. I think, well, first of all, when you
'Cause they were
sell
expecting-
it like, this sucks, it's not my first option,
Yeah,
but
it's
my
not the
first
best.
option was worse.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Go
almost
team!
like
Right.
he baited it to where it was an easy out. Just kind of like last week, you had blood on your product and you didn't finish it. So like it's an obvious like you're going home. And if you talk about like, oh, I messed up, there was a snafu, that sort of thing, then is it easier for the judges to be like, well, that's why, goodbye, Were they? I mean, is it just
Yeah, he didn't do a good
easy
job of selling it, but
Right.
out,
maybe he was just
or-
wanted to cop to it like by it because he was trying to say it wasn't good enough
For
to
you.
even
For
show
my
you
client,
exactly.
I hated it.
Yes.
I
Well, because
hated
the
it.
then maybe-
rainbow.
You guys, we have to go.
Okay.
But just I want to mention that he said it was a joy to work in the big barn
Yeah.
and be with other creative people, and that was a lovely way for him to wrap up his experience on there. Next week we're going to have a snack stadium, food crafting, which was one of my suggestions for this
Nice.
show.
Well, maybe we need to
Uh,
bring in some crafts.
Steve, tell us where. Yeah, maybe we will. Steve, tell us where they can find you.
I'm just parked down the street.
Kelsey.
I'm Kelsey Hightower. You can find me on Instagram at Kelsey Hightower.
And you can find me down the street because Steve gave me a ride here. So.
I'm on Twitter at Tamara Berg. Also, my website is tamaracentral.com. Thanks, you guys, for hanging out with us. We will see you next week for Making It. Woo!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later. Bye.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.